Welcome to St. Mathews. Please come in. My name is Leonard Ruddock. I'm the rector here in St. Mathews in Irishtown. St. Mathews is a wonderful place. It was built in 1704, and last year in 2023 we did a very full restoration of the church, and that was the first major work done on it in well over 100 years. We had the windows completely restored and cleaned. All the glass pieces, every pane of glass was taken out individually, cleaned and reset in new lead. They predate Harry Clark. And they are now as good as the first day they went in. We put in a new electrical system, new heating system. We're upgrading the organ. We put in a new sound system. Lots of work was done, and the end result is really very beautiful. This is the lectern. It's made from solid brass. On the top of it is an eagle, and on the back down there is where the reading of Scripture takes place. So someone will come up, open the Bible and read the particular reading for a particular Sunday. And the reason I'm told it's an eagle is because the eagle is the king of birds, and the eagle flies higher than any other bird, so it literally flies in the heavens. So that's the symbolism behind having an eagle on the top of your lectern. Both of these chairs came from St. Mary's Church in Donnybrook. St. Mary's is now closed, and we're very pleased to have them here in St. Mathews. They're beautifully made and they're wonderfully ornate. And there's an inscription here on the back of each of them, and it's in Latin, and it says Ecclesia Santa Maria, which means St. Mary's Church. John Shearer is our parish organist. We're very, very blessed indeed to have such a talented organist, and it's a delight to hear him playing the church organ.
This organ was made by Talbot and Talbot, was the main organ builders in Ireland in the 19th century.
These are the workings. So these are the pipes. So this is like a huge bellows.
One of them needs to be re-leathered.
Yeah.
There's a lot of leaks and air is getting out, and it weakens the pressure. There's more than 800 pipes inside this one organ chamber alone. And of course there's an upstairs which you get up through ladders to get access to them. So the whole pile of more pipes are up there. And then there's a thing called a swell box, which is again up high, that's closed in with louvers, as they're called, but they're like Venetian blinds. And all the pipes dealing with the top deck of the organ, that's the top keyboard. that you see the two keyboards there, and they control the pipes that are inside this box. When you want the thing to get louder or softer, you press a pedal and the Venetian blinds open or close, depending on whether you want a crescendo or a diminuendo. In fact, the organ is really three organs in one. And the lower keyboard is controlled by these stops here. So when I pull out one of these, you can only make that sound on this particular keyboard. This keyboard is controlled by these stops here. And these are the pipes that are inside the box I was talking about with the Venetian blinds in it. This is the pedal stops that you play the tunes on the pedal with. And again, if you pull these out and press the keyboard, you get nothing. It's only the feet will produce the noise you want out of that. They're called pistons. If you want, for instance, to get about 3 of these stops to come out at once and you haven't got the time to do it, you press one of these that is pre-recorded to produce the number of stops that you want.
Before there was electricity, someone came in here and this handle pumped the bellows. But now it's powered by a motor and a fan. But someone spent the entire church service in here pumping this up and down just like that. And the organist played away when they were inflating the bellows.
One guy who was pumping the organ in the old days, and he was pumping the organ for the whole of the Messiah, which lasted hours. And suddenly the organ stopped in the middle of one of the choruses, and your man said, what are you doing? The thing isn't over. He says, I've been pumping for the Messiah for the last 30 years, and it never took more than so many hundred pushes. That's your lot. Yeah. Well, in this church, in 1979 was when I became organist here. So I'm about 45 years organist. But I was taught when I was a little boy in shorts in St. Stephen's, the pepper canister. So the organist got me to deputise for the services when he had to go away. Well, the ones that you see up above there are the big metal pipes, 8-foot pipes. The ones around the corner are pedal stops or pedal pipes. And they're usually the 16-foots or something of that nature. There are some actually, when I was organist at Mary's Donnybrook, I had a 32-foot pipe, or a row of pipes, and the 32-foot was the lowest. Well, I presume they were mid-19th century, or the latter part of the 19th century. Yeah, there was another maker called Brown, and they believe that he was responsible for taking the organ down from the gallery at the back, and it used to be up in the gallery, the West Gallery. That was originally where it was, you know. I mean, you could see the organist up there, and you had to climb a staircase to get up. It would have been after disestablishment, you know, around 1869 plus, and then it was put down into that chamber that it's in now. The hymn numbers, you know, the audience or congregation have a little red books numbered, and the hymns are numbered with those numbers. So if he says 647, they get out number 647, and I play it, and they sing it.
We're planning to have what's called a Songs of Praise in October sometime, and there will be at least an hour's favourite hymns being sung, I'd say. As far as I'm concerned, he is playing here till he's called to play it in heaven. Now, we're absolutely blessed to have such a talent, like, it's incredible. He played those pieces of music from memory.
My grandfather's name is on the brass plaque there. Tyrer, James Tyrer, he was one of the people who put that up. He was one of the group that's there that was responsible for them.
In 1950, they fundraised to have a new pulpit, which is this pulpit, installed here in St. Mathews. We would see Jesus. So this side of the church, it's technically called the north transept. This side of the church had pews, the same as everywhere else in the church, but it had become quite messy. And if anyone needed to store something, they ended up on those pews. So last year, when we were doing the restoration, we made quite a significant change, and we got chairs, we got these presses built in, specially made, and I got a new Holy Communion table made to measure as well. So we have created in the church a side chapel. So it's possible to have smaller services in here. And we also want to make this available to the community. A person can stand here and speak and so on. It has its own separate side entrance, so we're possible to come and go. This room is what we call the vestry, and the clergy would robe and prepare for services in here. Little mosaic is a plaster casting, and it tells the story of Abraham from the Old Testament. So here's, for instance, Abraham about to sacrifice his son, and the angel comes down and stops him just before he does that. This is Trevor James. Trevor is a parishioner of the parish, and he has a particular interest in the church and its history and the history of the locality. Thank you for joining us, Trevor.
This was the original church. The original church came up to here. It was found to be too small at the time, and it was then extended in 1879 to all this. This is all new, but the original church came up to here. When the original church was built, the tower wasn't as high as it is now, and it was extended about 10 years after the church was built on the request of the corporation, who actually paid for the extension. And it was put on especially to guide ships in the bay, because this was the landmark that they used. So the tower was raised, and there was a little pyramid steeple put on it with a weather vane on the top, and ships in the bay used to use this to chart their course, which is a very dangerous bay at that time. These are the tubular bells, the Harringtons. It was the first one ever in a church in Ireland, and they're played by one person, can strike all the 8 bells. And the bells are up there. Okay, this is the crypt of the church. You can see the crypt goes to just down the end there. This was the original. The original crypt goes from there, and it goes beyond to the front of the church there. This is where the transepts are in the church. Originally, this would have been there would have been graves down here. There would have been bodies buried here. When the crypt was opened, there was 5 coffins found. We're not sure who they belonged to. The bodies were all reburied in the graveyard. There is another crypt on the other side. This is the south crypt. There's one on the north. That has never been opened. Well, it's not been opened for 200 years anyway. And we're not sure what's inside it. The entrance to it has been blocked up, and we can't get into it. The bodies from the crypt were moved and reburied here near the columbarium wall. Sir James Fowles was a soldier. He was commander of the Midlothian Fencibles, who were sent here to put down the 1798 rebellion. He was one of the court-martial presidents, and he saved many of the rebels' lives by many of the rebels were sentenced to be executed, and he commuted those sentences to transportation. This is the grave of Father Clinch. It's a Catholic grave. You can tell by the inscription on the top here saying IHS. Father Clinch was the first parish priest of this area. He died very young. He was struck by an oar on the jaw, and it led to complications which he died of. Very young, he was only in his 20s. He was very well liked in the parish, and the grave has a nice inscription telling of his good works. This is the grave of Lundy Foot. Lundy Foot was a tobacconist and snuff maker in Dublin. His premises still exist there. in Parliament Street. You can still see there's a plaque above it saying LF, and it says Lundy Foot. Lundy Foot, his son is also buried here, also called Lundy Foot. He was a magistrate, not well liked, was actually shot at many, many times because he evicted several of his tenants. He moved Kilkenny area, he was stoned to death there, buried there, and his body was then reburied here in this grave, and it's still there. The floor is done by the Dublin Mosaic Company, and it was Giovanni Lizzieri, an Italian craftsman, who actually did a lot of the work. He employed a team of people, and the story is that they lived in a boat off the coast here. It was completed just after the church was rebuilt, 1880s, and it's done in I think it's called a floriated Gothic style. Just in front of the altar, there's one large crown with 3 shamrocks on it. Lizzieri left Dublin shortly afterwards and set up for himself in England. This is the War Memorial dedicated to those who died in the First World War. For God and right and liberty. And over here you have also 2 memorials to Thomas Hankey and Bruce Hudson, who died, one in the Second World War and this one in the Korean War. And these are the pews from the original church, and we had them extensively restored to their beautiful state now. They were dark, they're beautifully bright now.
We want St. Mathews to be open and available to everyone in the whole community. Everyone is very, very welcome to come here.